That's Leslie.
And that's Christy.
And we're going indie.
And today I want to talk about, or with you, like, how do you know when you're ready to publish? I have come to this conclusion after a lot of years
A
seeking
lot of
traditional
years.
publishing, a lot of years. And I've had an agent most of the, almost all those years, with a very prestigious literary agency, especially for Christian fiction. Most people consider it probably the best. Um, and still not gotten a traditional contract. So I am won the big contest for unpublished authors in Christian fiction, and I decided after a year from that date that I was ready to go indie. I was ready to publish myself if nobody else was going to.
Yes. So I know, well, I had because I started traditional, then there's the benefit of someone saying, yes, I want to put money into your work. I think it's right. That's really a good indication that you might be ready when someone's willing to say, here's money. um, but I think also sometimes it's not because like sometimes you just are really good at selling or you have a really good hook or whatever. And they're like, well, we can sell this book. How do you know when your writing is at that level? Though, how do you know when you as a writer are ready to publish? Um, because I'll be honest, going back, like, was I ready to publish a book? Yes. Was I ready for the business of publishing? Probably not. My career probably would be in a different place had I been ready for that at the time of that publication. But at that time, I was just thinking about writing books and getting them out there. But I do think that having other people say you're ready to publish is really important, and not just your friends and critique partners. People who have no vested interest in you, they have no connection to you, they may not even know it's you. So that's where I think like the benefit of contests or
Yeah.
querying or different things like that is really helpful, because like you have not been published, but you have talked to a lot of publishers.
Yes. Yeah. And I've been to pub board more than one time.
Yeah.
And, so that means that I got past the initial gatekeepers. And obviously, my agent believed in the proposals we were sending out for a lot of years and still believed, even when I decided to go indie, that I was ready to be published. And I caution people to put like all their stock in contests, even though it made me feel validated. Um,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes contests also the judges might not be looking at the same things. But if you're hearing good thing, you're scoring high enough, or you're reading comments and they're more subjective things, not objective things.
Right.
Or they say you're
Yeah.
a really good writer, but I don't like this, and that's different than
Right.
just you.
That's
mm,
different.
Things are bad,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. As a person who judges a lot of contests, I can say, like, I have even put in notes, like, this isn't my cup of tea, or this is my, like, I love this. Um, but I have put in the notes before, like, this is all stuff that you could work with an editor. Like,
Right.
you're ready to query, you're ready to move forward. And then there's other ones where I'm like, okay, you're working on some basics here, which contests are great for that.
Hmm.
Like, I would say, like, if you're unpublished and you are entering contests, make sure they're ones that give you feedback, that are known
Absolutely.
for the authors that, or the judges giving good feedback of like, hey, okay, you need to work on character development. Here's some things you can do. Here's some things to watch out for. Here's places in your manuscript where I saw that. So this is why I only judge a few contests a year, because I probably overnote. But it's great to get for them to get that feedback. But I think having somebody who has only your work to go on
Yeah,
look at
absolutely.
it and say, yes, this is ready, is very important. Like, and you can get that from, you can do coaching services. Like,
I
Christiane
was going
Hunter
to
does
suggest
coaching
that.
services. Um,
Christy.
you can, um, you can do that. You can get a coaching service, but having somebody that only has your work to look at, no previous conversations with you, no knowledge of your process, and like just your work, because your work is going to have to stand alone when you put it out there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And okay, one of the things that you mentioned is that you were ready to write, but you weren't really ready with the business of going indie. And I think that honestly, that's actually something to take into consideration before you say, I'm going to start publishing. And, I've done some other, we've talked about this a little bit about when we're going to talk more about series, but like having a body of work, maybe
Yeah.
you don't, maybe you wait 6 months or a year, depending on what you want to put out there and how you want to put it out there because of the business. So I think understanding the business is also huge in whether or not you're ready to publish.
Especially if you're ready to publish indie. Like
Yes,
it's
yes,
different. You don't have to quite have as many business ducks in a row if you're going to publish traditional, because you're more limited as far as what you can do there. But you still need to have that business mindset that I didn't have. And we can talk a little bit about that in another episode, like the fact that editors are not your friends. But like we can talk about that in another episode. But like I think the important thing is if you feel like you are ready to publish, it needs to be more than just you that has said your book is ready.
right. Agreed.
And more than just your friends, because I have talked to a lot of authors that they like their book and they think it's ready, but nobody else has really seen it or nobody else has really said yes, and then they don't understand why it's getting the reviews it's getting, or it's not selling or whatever, kind of like that. It's because nobody else has looked at it and told you. Somebody's got to tell you, yes, this is ready.
Yeah. Well, and absolutely, because there might be just like one little thing, like the beginning of the book that I'm publishing had a thing that needed to be changed, and it wasn't that big of a deal. I mean, I had to rewrite
Right.
it, but it was a 1 day big deal, but it
Yes.
made it so much better. And so I think that that's like super important that you have that kind of a critique. And
Yes.
then yeah, and then there's like the more we're talking about this, the more I'm like, oh, and there's this other thing about the business or about gathering your team. So like in the
Yes.
future, get ready. We're gonna have episodes on like gathering your team,
Yep.
like the business side, like other things you need to be doing and thinking about if you're ready to go indie, not necessarily get ready to be published. Those are two different things.
Yes. So I think this today we're talking about, is your work ready to publish? And at that
Absolutely.
point, it's got to be able to stand on its own
Yeah.
with no commentary from you. And you can only do that by letting strangers read it.
So fun.
So go forth and find some strangers.
Yes, excellent. Or you can hire Christy as your official
Or you
stranger.
can hire me.
She's a coach. So check that out. Be
Yes.
sure you check those links in her bio.
We need a
Alrighty.
way to close these. We do.
And now you're ready to go